welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to SSL Challenge. It's been a while. It's good to be back, and back with our final series of the night, Valdez, which could be our best series.
Yeah.
So we have Rogue taking on Zest for our second PVZ of the day.
These guys are champions here in 2017. Zest is multiple-time champion. Rogue picking up one over at Shanghai. Zest obviously winning Home Story Cup.
Yeah.
So definitely, this is definitely like the one match of the night that we could actually take a little bit more seriously.
You know, I think that would be appropriate. So if you guys want to save your chat analysis, talk amongst yourselves, we'll see what happened after the game ended. But here are our players.
Just make sure you don't do any spamming while we're not watching.
Yeah, no, that would be terrible, Valdez. Just as much as Zest spams workouts 24 hours a day. This guy is super buff. He's been killing it on the ladder. He has 2 accounts in the top 10 of Korean ladder, and it's just been insane to watch him grow as a player. Which sounds weird to say, because he was at one point at the top of his game. He was crushing it in SSL, destroying every Korean player he went up against as one of really the gods of Protoss of his time. However, if you're new to watching StarCraft, you might kind of wonder where that Zest has been. Well, I think he might be coming back a little bit, and certainly a very strong player, despite what you might read.
Definitely very strong, and he is definitely increasing in size. The one thing I want to ask Zest, yes,
as well as
I want to ask him about his workout routine. Let's get a little bit of insight into what he's really good at. Here, over on the opposite side, it is Rogue.
Sexy boy himself.
This is the battle of the sexy boys, man.
I guess it is.
Who's the sexiest boy? That's the real question.
We could very well find out tonight, Valdez.
Yeah.
So Rogue has a 1-2 score, very not representative of his time spent here in the SSL. I do have to say I am a little bit of a Rogue fan, especially after watching him just absolutely dominate in I think it was Ballistics Brawl earlier on today. He's also done quite well in Alima Leagues lately, and now they're having him just sign off on his
The ref's
snaps.
like, I have a 100-word essay. Can you help me out with this?
Could you do my homework right here on the broadcast? She's like, no problem. Anytime.
Been really having trouble with this, especially because every time I try to write it on my laptop, they always spam in the chat so that it really hurts my legs.
Yeah,
so
it burns.
He had Rogue help him out with his homework, which is really good. So we get some maps here. Ascension to Ire, Abyssal, Reef, and Odyssey are going to be the maps. Lots of big ones, lots of 2-player maps.
Yeah. So
we could see some macro.
Oh my goodness. Thankfully no frost, so it's not the biggest map pool or whirlwind. So, but just to update you guys, if you haven't watched all of SSL Challenge, I think we've seen Rogue play 1 Protoss matchup. I forget
against
who he played.
Hush.
Yeah, Hush. So he played Hush once. It was a very close series, and I think he lost it 2-1. But he hasn't actually played that many ZVPs in SSL. Now, if you want to watch his ZVPs, just go Google Ballistics Brawl and the most recent vids, VODs. Vids. I'm super hip. I'm hip with the kids, man. Kids
Come on,
vids. That's the way it is.
Yeah.
He played a lot of PVZ, and so for Rogue, I really feel like this is kind of his premier matchup right now. He's been crushing it. I looked at his match history on Illegal Act, and he's just win no matter what.
He's pretty good now.
He's got winning on his mind.
It's funny how recently a lot of players are like really just coming out of nowhere, essentially. Like even Bunny, who's 3-0, is doing really well.
Crushed it.
Rogue coming back. He goes over win Shanghai, doing well in your tournament that you're casting over there. Also looking to do well here tonight against Zest as this Protoss.
Very true. Gotta say, loving
also
Rogue's
Deer.
ZVP.
Deer is the other guy I was thinking about.
Fortunately, we don't get to see Deer here anymore.
Yeah.
He's gone on to the Wild
He's
Blue
graduated.
Yonder. He has. So we're going to graduate to our final best of 3 of the night, guys. It's Rogue facing off against Zest, both very strong physically, looking pretty strong today as well in his play style. So really a cool matchup. There's been a lot of very interesting build developments, lots of Stargate play, lots of attempts to counter that by Zerg players. What are we going to see? Well, let's head into game number 1 and find out.
Fly better fly.
L.
Up in the top left, the yellow Protoss This is Zest.
And his opponent in the Zerg, playing as the purple race. It's Rogue. Big fan.
Log.
Yep, Log, he is here.
It's Log versus Chest. Who wins in a battle of Log versus Chest? Probably Log, if you had to think about it.
I don't even know how you would make a log with your hands.
Why do you have to make a log with your hands?
Because you're playing like Log, Chest, I don't know what the third one is. Byun. I don't know.
Oh, I see what you're saying. I was talking about literally like a fight. Whoa! Calm down, observer. I was talking about
that's
a fight
really intense.
between a log and a chest. It would have to be like a bodybuilder.
I feel like
even
if it's Zest's chests, then I think you're pretty good there.
Maybe. I don't know.
I've had the pleasure of gazing upon the wonder that is the Zest chest. It's a sight to behold.
I'm glad you enjoyed it.
It was one of my favorite moments in StarCraft history.
That's good.
I'll release a vlog on it later.
Will it be an ASMR vlog?
I definitely will not be. You just listen to the sound of Zest's muscles flexing.
Oh boy.
Oh baby. All right, so here we go, walling in at the front of the natural. Expand looks super typical. Probe scouting for a third. He will find it, so nothing incredibly surprising. But it's after the opener that we really get a chance to see the tech direction. And I'm not sure if Zest is going to be one of these follower Protosses that just see a new cool build and try it out. Several were, and they didn't last very long. I think the most recent committer of that crime was Hero, who tried the Stargate build from Classic, and it just did not look very good at all. Here's the first Stargate, though. It's being built in a relatively difficult position to scout. You'll have to wrap your Overlord all the way around. And if you go for Stalkers early, then you can push that scouting Overlord out initially. But instead, Zest is going to go for 2 Adepts.
We'll see what kind of damage he can get done here. Rogue with that greedy third base. Looks like he's going to get away with it. 3 Queens on the way. Zest not really having a very quick response to the build of Rogue. Will attempt some damage here. Did force some Lings out, even with just the 1 Adept to start. 6 more Lings even on the way. Rogue taking this very seriously. Speed is a long way away, so it does make sense.
If you could get speed this quickly, that's how you know you're maybe in a little bit of trouble as a Protoss player. But he is pumping out those first 6 Lings just to make sure that he has not map control, but at least a lot of vision and the ability to push out these Adepts.
1 kill.
He does complete the Shade.
2.
Oh, that's
3.
not actually a tight wall with the Adept in the Mineral Line. So he's actually going to lose both of these Adepts after only 3 drone kills. That is probably not worth. Now, what we really have to watch out for is the next 2 Stargates. Does he throw those down or go into a more ground-based play? Warp Gate is just now finishing, so I'm going to have to guess this is going to be the more standard style. You start with the Stargate and then move into, I would say, maybe Glaive Adepts. I don't know. We are seeing continual Oracle production, so anything could happen.
No Spore, and he moved his Queen from the natural.
Several
juicy kills
going down. Yeah, 6 in total, plus the earlier ones from the Adepts. The Phoenix comes out next. What if there's a Void Ray to follow? This is the 1/1/1 Protoss air build. I don't know. Robo Bay, though, is the tech to come out. And this should just be a really, I want to say, safe way to start out. You get the Oracle for the early harassment, the Phoenix to push the Overlords out so they don't have great scouting. As is, it will get in and see everything, so I'm not sure that's really mission accomplished for the Phoenix.
Yeah, I mean, he sees a lot of buildings that tell him that it's not triple Stargate, so that's good for him. He's just going to drone up like a madman.
Yeah.
11 more drones, just drones and Overlords and Queens. The basics of the Zerg macro. So beautiful.
Oh, he's going to try to snipe the probe, and he gets it. Yeah. That is really, really annoying. Now 2 Oracles come in. Second time's the charm, stopping right over the Spore Crawler. Ugh. First time we've gotten a chance to make that tonight. Usually we make it a lot more often.
We usually make those sounds a bit more, but yeah.
Does finally get the third base up and on the way, or on the way, not up just yet.
What?
Wow, actually picking up the queen to try to get the oracles in there to snipe it out. Gets it and gets out relatively unscathed.
He was having trouble with his micro there for a second, but did eventually finish off that queen, which is kind of cool. Coming back here are the Lings, but the base is already coming up. Just more and more drones here for Rogue. He's really trying to saturate all of his bases that he had trouble doing a little bit earlier because he did lose 6 of his drones. He's going to be going +1 as well as Banelings. So bringing that Rogue style in.
In response, on the other side, we were talking about maybe it's going to be more Stargate units. He does have quite an air force right there, just kind of following everyone around. But it is going to be a huge swell of gateways right as this charge upgrade finishes.
I'm going to be charging straight into Banelings. Okay, this is kind of interesting. Generally, you don't want to warp this in right in front of all the Lings. He's actually going to kill one. Can he get the second? Yes, he can. Ooh. That was really expensive. That is 600 gas that he just lost to Lings. And not even a lot of the Lings died.
I feel like this is a great example of you know, sort of the difference between top-tier players and then like the tippity-tippest top of players. The apex, nigh the zenith of players out there, Valdez, is that they're always looking for opportunities to find little advantages out there on the map. A lot of players, they stay inside their base, maybe they're not very active with their scouting Lings, and they don't find opportunities like that. Big pickoffs like that really are going to help out the Zerg defense and allow him to be more offensive as well. He doesn't have to pull the units back to defend at home. He can afford to commit them to things like forcing overcharges, killing probes, and now even going to be in perfect position to push away this drop in his main.
Look at how many queens he has. This is Rogue in a nutshell. Very good at macroing, defensing all of his bases.
Well, I think the massive amount of queens is kind of a reaction to seeing not one but 2 Phoenixes out there saying, oh, maybe he's going for a bunch more Stargates. If you don't have that number of queens, Mass Oracle just kills you. And because it's such a popular build right now, especially on the ladder, you might have even faced it against Zest several times as well, because it's sort of something you have to kind of add into your Protoss build order right now. If you don't have that number of queens, you just die. So he's totally good against that build. It also pushes out things like warp prisms. There's 2 of them, and neither one will be able to get in and be very effective.
What? Why is he even trying? I mean, you're not going to win that.
It's the saddest oracles I've ever seen.
Oh, he's got us around. Where's the overcharge, Zest? Please overcharge. He's dealing with this.
Does he not have? I guess
he didn't overcharge. He has the energy, and he has the pylons. He just didn't do it. Maybe he was dealing with this fight, and he's going to get totally crushed over here, too.
Oh, my God. Did he overcharge back at home? Looks like the answer is no, Valdez. He's going to lose everything at that third base. It's
of course, still there. Look at it.
The memory of that third base has been wiped away from the face of the earth.
I love Rogue's play, though. Like, I don't want to say too much negative stuff about Zest. Like the huge run by right as Zest is going for the attack, the perfect defense of this Protoss who's desperately trying to kill him. The extra spines just to add insult to injury. I mean, he made 3 of them, 1 at each base, and he's just like, hey, I mean, you're just not getting in. Your double warp prism play is you're gonna have to get rid of this, man. It's not going to work.
I'm telling you, man, queens are good units. Oh. Whoa, big connection there. Even these Archons might even go down. They're forced to run instead of fight, and it's never what Archons want to do. More warp ins there, but look at these queens. Massive amount of queens. It's really protecting Rogue at all fronts. Keeps the warp prisms and the oracles out of his main. It's been good enough to transfuse. Look, this spine is just never going to die. Banelings run in and kill everything. Perfect surrounds, and even on the Archons that get picked up, you can't micro 4 of them in a... Oh, wow, okay, maybe you can. Zest on point with his control, but I don't even think you can win back the game with that.
He's trying his hardest.
He certainly is.
Shout out to him, but +2 melee is done, and that is not good. I think Zest got shields, by the way. I'm not sure if you mentioned that.
Okay, that's a little bit of a hipster build. I was listening
definitely
to...
very hipster.
I think it was Classic on stream. It was talking about how... Or it was Petit Drogo, I believe. One of the foreign Protoss players was talking about a lot of these Protoss will get +1 shields instead of +1 armor. just because it does help out a lot on things that do have a lot of shields, things like Archons. So if you're going to go for a lot of Archons, maybe that's what you want. I still think the jury is out on that, but you do see quite a few Korean Protoss doing it.
It's a cool idea, but don't see it all too often. Zest trying to spread the love. Still trying to go up into this attack. All those Banelings ran into an Archon, and this one over here with the 3 Archons actually should have some success. Meanwhile, a bit of a warp in at the natural. Zest trying to attack on all fronts. Looks like the Queens, because of all the transfuse energy, will eventually win this fight after Rogue does clean up everything. And the Archons will go down. Very expensive once again. That's going to be it. GG. Rogue able to hold off all of the aggression in that game. Zest losing his 3rd base without defending it. And so Rogue will take game number 1.
Wise man once said, Valdez, it's a good idea to make your expand and defense it. And that's exactly what Rogue did there. Didn't get a final count on the Queens, but it was massive.
Yeah, like 10.
Yeah, it was like 10 or 12 Queens just absolutely everywhere. They pushed the Oracles out, and I'm not sure exactly what that Stargate was designed to do. Like, so he did get, like, I think it was 6 drone kills early. So it's like, okay, well, you know, you got in, you did your early Oracle thing, but then he builds like a 2nd Oracle and like continues to try to get in there, and then he runs them in. They both die to massive amounts of Queens. I don't know. I was a little bit
that was fun.
A little bit thrown off by that, but you could just see perfect defense on every side. The mass Queens really helped push the Warp Prisms back as they tried to do that cool micro, and it looked interesting there by Zest, but ultimately it was ineffective, Ineffective, yeah. There you go. Nobody heard that. All right, we're going to move into our 2nd game of our final match of the night. Rogue has an opportunity to come back from what was, I guess, a little bit of a lackluster start to the season. Sue already did it. He's back on the hype train, and I think Rogue might just be able to pull it out against Zest as we head into Abyssal Reef, our 2nd map.
Here we go. Flying onto game number 2. Down in the bottom right, the yellow Protoss. He doesn't have his hat today. See if he can make it back. It is Zest.
He does have his wristband, so big fan of that. And his opponent, our purple Zerg player, spawning on the other side of the map. This is generic Green Wings Rogue. It's a gateway expand, Valdez.
What a build.
The humanity. I guess they're Protoss, so they're not quite.
Ooh, nice sneak there
yeah.
by Rogue.
So he's thinking, is he not going to throw down an expansion? What in the world could this be? Well, it turns out it's just a delayed probe, so a little bit of sneaky, cheeky probe action. Does get his expand out, and he'll realize he's been duped. Expansion did, in fact, come down in time.
Nicely done. Good start to the game here for Rogue. Going to be delaying this gas mining. He only wanted exactly 4 gas. Okay, now he starts mining it again. Looks like he's putting more of his probes in there.
Yes. So he will be...
not much else to talk about right now.
Yeah, no.
But, you know, he's making a Cyber Core, which we already discussed is a pretty good build for the Protoss.
Yeah, we had a lot of time to talk about that in our previous series. Hope you guys enjoyed allowing you to have more of an impact on the cast there for one of our highlight moments. But for this last series, I think it could be really good. Zest went with a little bit of a wacky build. I don't think I've seen quite that level of committal at different timings. So see if he changes it up this time around. The instantaneous speed for Rogue as soon as that spawning pool completes. I don't know, this could be looking for early pressure. This also could definitely be just saying, hey, if you want to try for an early all-in, I'll have the speed that I need. Very defensive, but could use it in an aggressive way. Although with this many drones behind it, most likely won't see that happen.
Twilight Council here for Zest. Do you think he's going to make Archons rapid?
Yes, I would say that's highly likely, Valdez.
Yeah, I would have to agree with you. I think you're spot on with that analysis. Seems to be the Zest way nowadays, although he is getting a Stalker. Zest famously called a pause on a game which I think lasted about 15 or 20 minutes because he made a stalker by accident instead of an adept. And he was like, no, my hotkey was wrong. We got to fix this. We need to remake. I didn't want to make a stalker. I wanted to make an adept.
Yeah.
And we had the refs in there for like 15, 20 minutes. And at the end, they were like, no, just deal with it, dude. You made a stalker.
That's your point. Also want to point out, I believe Rogue canceled speed. I didn't see it complete, so I'm going to guess he canceled that. And I think what you do is you get the gas, you start the speed, and then you get the scout off and say, okay, well, do I need this, do I not? Adding a little bit of flexibility in there. And he can still use all of that gas for roaches as soon as his warren completes if he wants to be defensive in that way. Rogue, one of the best parts about the way that he defends is that he's always capable of defending, but it's really his scouting that allows him to know when he needs to make that defense, so he can do things like skip that speed or skip making a ton of roaches or whatever he does want to commit to. Here he is getting the scouting information I was just talking about.
Yeah, already got that spore in the main. No third. Did make that roach warren and getting speed very fast. So both of these guys actually scouting a lot of very useful information. Zest going over there seeing, hey, you only have 2 bases and you already have a lair. That's kind of interesting. And Rogue getting over there, obviously, and seeing the Dark Shrine gives him ample time to prepare for this.
Yeah, I'm glad you pointed out that lair. It is coming up way ahead of schedule, so that should show you that, well, this is the focus that Rogue wants to go for. Could have gone for that early speed, canceled it, put the gas into an early lair, and now is going to have a bunch of roaches with speed, that glial reconstitution, ready just in time for... I'm actually curious to see if he's going to send those DTs or just make an Archon. Nope, DT's heading in. They will immediately find out that their push is futile and pull back out. Not before sniping 2 creep tumors. Dun, dun, dun.
He's got 2 observers, or rather overseers. He's going to get over here in time. Snipes one of the DTs before the second one can be picked up. The spore already in position. Rogue is so good.
Taking out that 1 DT is really annoying, because then you can't pull back and make an Archon. You have to warp in another one and then transform it. Taking out the Adepts, as they're only able to kill 3 drones, and as this base is about to pop for Rogue, be able to get over there just in time.
Spire.
Yeah, Observer pointing out the Spire on the way. I was talking about earlier in our series from Sue that we really weren't going to see a Spire played from him, and we didn't. Rogue definitely does have that as an option in his arsenal. So he'll be able to come over here, delaying the Immortal. Nice one, Overseer. You don't actually see that ability used all that often.
Yeah, it's generally very useful when we do get to see it. Just, you know, the meta, the way that the Zergs are playing is generally getting 3 bases, delaying your lair. You don't usually have them out in time and building up energy to use it effectively, especially early on in the game. So that's why we get to see it this time, because Rogue did go for the earlier lair. And this Archon drop coming in, it is only just 1 Archon, funnily enough.
Well, that's what happens when you snipe one of the DTs. And the other one, or the lone DT from earlier, actually does run in. Uncharacteristically, Rogue has skipped the Spore at his natural, or is that his third? Yeah, it's his third. Yeah, so he does have one everywhere else. A lot of times you'll see Rogue actually overcommit to Spores, even putting 1 or 2 in, but usually that's only when you see you scout Stargate play early on, just in case it is that mass Stargate and you don't scout it. But his information has been good, and finally our first 8 Mutalisks on the way.
This is such a crazy strat. It's a very Rogue thing, but look at this army. There's 3 sentries and 1 stalker. I mean, there are going to be a bunch of gateways that get powered up, especially once this 3rd base gets online, so it can warp in a bunch of stalkers when he needs them, but this can definitely catch Zest off guard, because he is making the stalkers and blink right away. But we'll see what these mutas can get done. There's only 3 stalkers here at the natural against 8 mutas. That's not enough.
Yeah, these 8 mutas definitely capable of dealing with that. They are going to finally swoop in, and whoa, yeah, this Archon is very, very dangerous and already losing a Mutalisk.
And that Microman, he saves the stalker even. He's going more mutas, man. This isn't even just like a sneak, you know, one-trick kind of move. This is actually going all the way.
So this is really interesting. Not only are there a bunch of mutas on the way in addition to this. You almost never see a second round of Mutalisks made this early.
Yeah.
But he's going for +1 air attack instead of +1 air Carapace. Carapace is almost unanimously the better upgrade for Mutalisks. But instead, we are going to see this very heavy committal to just a lot of Zerg air. And the second batch of mutas is just now hatching, so they will all join up here. That is a lot.
14.
I've counted. One too many lots.
Yes,
that's a lot.
That is lots. Even forcing Zest into cannons, into a Stargate, try to go Phoenix, because he sees the amount of mutas and he's like, oh, you're not messing around with this number, man. You're going.
But what do you do with this? Wow, he has 6 more Mutalisks on the way right as this +1 completes. So,
well, when you make 14, you're not going to stop at 14.
No.
Right?
You are
you're
just
going
gonna
for 50.
go for it.
You're going for the magic number 50. See if he can make it.
I
this
love
game.
the blink being completed right now. That means that Zest will be able to blink after and chase these very mobile Mutalisks. Going to limit that mobility by being able to react to it so
sentries.
well. Whoa, don't want to lose those sentries. He's going to try to dive for it. Takes on 1, 2, 3. Every one of them getting taken out.
Yeah, and not a single Mutalisk dies. He still has all 20. He's going to cancel the 4th even. Blinking in with 2 Stalkers that were in range. That is not enough. Getting that 9-minute 20 Zergling speed.
+1 is done. Just gotta say the additional Mutalisk that he did add on was like, okay, well, why is he getting +1 attack instead of Carapace? I guess Carapace is better when you're going up against either a lot of other Mutalisks or if you're just gonna get like a small number. But when you're going for this many, having that +1 attack really just does multiply that much more. So, also going for a Roach attack at the same time on the other side at the third base. Just every single avenue that he can find, pressuring so much. And actually, he's managed to outmaneuver these Stalkers. They do have Blink to chase after the mutas, but still just really pulling Zest apart and be able to take out all of those overcharged pylons. And even though Zest will react to that, there's still mutas doing damage at his natural.
Yeah, this is not very standard, but he's trying to make it work. I think this must be an Abyssal Reef kind of build, you know, because he goes for the Roaches first. He sees that Zest is ready, and perhaps he's forcing a bunch of Immortals so that the switch into mutas is more effective. But overall, I mean, we got to look at the stuff that was lost by both players, and I have to say that the mutas, they're still pretty much all alive. We lost 5 of them, but they didn't get a ton of damage done.
You know, I can also count the number of Banelings there. That is so many Banelings. Unfortunately, we can't see exactly how many, but I'm just going to say that's a lot.
The upgrade tab is currently more important, apparently.
I mean, I'm just looking at the upgrades, man.
Is our sub-observer still?
Oh,
he's going to get that Warp Prism.
Whoa, he dives in, hits the Warp Prism, but unfortunately he's going to lose that. The biggest upgrade that we should be looking at is the Anion Pulse Crystals.
No, we got to look at this fight. Here we go. The Banelings rolling in. The force fields are even late, and this is going to be a travesty for Zest.
What a massacre. He sniped those early sentries, and maybe that was just the difference there.
Oh, no.
What a travesty.
Oh, no.
God is my witness. This Protoss player has been broken in half. I guess that's what it looks like when you don't have the force fields to block the Banelings. Wow. That's just a straight-up boppening. Now, there is a Dark Templar here, and there are no Overseers.
I really wish we could have seen the number of Banelings that he actually made, because we're still getting a look at the upgrades.
I'm just looking at the Anion Pulse Crystals, man. It's really helping these Phoenixes
GG.
not block the Banelings.
There you go. We'll never know how many Banelings he made.
We never will.
But as you said, Rapid, the only number that matters is so many. And Rogue, with that 2-0, is looking a lot better in Challenge. That was just a Shrekkening, man. He brought it to Zest.
You know, I will say that
hardcore.
Zest is also looking a lot better in Challenge, just physically. In-game, which is what matters.
He's getting
in
bigger and
standings.
bigger physically.
That is true. Not in his army supply there, especially after the Banelings kind of rolled through and ended his life. Wow, that is probably the most Banelings I've seen in a game in recent history.
Yeah, those are always fun. Where, you know, as you mentioned, I wonder if he had that planned. Is Rogue actually that good? It's like, okay, I'm gonna force the Immortals and then switch into mutas. I'm gonna make enough mutas that I can snipe sentries, and then after that, I'm gonna hit him with like 80 Banelings. Is that the play?
I really just want to know what was up with the Anion Pulse Crystal. He's like, hey, that's a lot of Mutalisks. What if I just made lots of Phoenixes, which are great against light units, and then gave them range, and then they could outmaneuver the Mutals. I can just kill everything. Oh my god! And then 50 Banelings roll in and kill everything you have. And your force fields is like you grab your sentry hotkey control, and you're like, all right, force fields, and you're like, but then they stop.
You only have 3
because you only have 3 because the last few died. And,
and you just had to remake them, and they don't have enough energy to make more than 1 force field.
That is
it was a sad Protoss fight for sure.
Unlucky. All right, so here is a look at today's results. Glad to be back with Challenge, and so is Sue, Beyond, Jakji, and Rogue, who all pick up victories today.
Yeah, lots of 2-0s. Rogue looking so good.
Gotta say, our first and last series were probably definitely the best. Notice how I qualified that by saying probably and definitely in the same sentence?
Yeah, nicely done.
Well done myself.
Expertly done.
We'd also, even though we didn't have an interview with him, I do want to point out that Sue did apparently advance to the second stage as well to join Bunny and Beyond. So only 3 more players will advance, and most likely we'll find out quite a few of them next week on SSL Challenge.
Yeah, I would predict that Beyond, Rogue, and probably Impact from that bottom group are going to go through. That third player is kind of hard. And in the top group, Bunny's already through, Sue's already through, and Patience lost today. I guess he was 2-0 before that game. So,
wow,
kind of rough.
Indeed, and here's a look at our next few SSL series matchups. SSL Premier will be coming at you on Monday. There's a live studio audience, so make sure to come in and check out some of the best players in Korea. Innovation versus Byul could also be very good, and the PvP in the middle right there, the SSL Premier Sandwich, Hero versus Stats, should be so sick.
I want to see Solar versus Deer. Personally,
Another
I think
ZVP?
Yeah, Deer is just so good right now, like ridiculously good. And Solar as ZVP is obviously you can only say it so many times. He's really good in the matchup.
He certainly is.
Definitely the highlight for me. I like the PvP as well.
ZVPs have been pretty good lately, so excited to see that on another level. And because Wolf is away in Taiwan, we will be bringing you SSL Premier on Monday as well.
More of a serious
as SSL
cast,
Challenge.
I suppose.
Yeah, we're going to be taking that one a little bit seriously. If you're new to SSL Challenge, we're glad to be back after almost a month hiatus. I hope you enjoyed a little bit of a lighthearted broadcast. If you watch the Korean broadcast, it's a lot of a lighthearted broadcast. So we had a lot of fun with you tonight. Make sure to send us your feedback on not only tonight's broadcast, but any other things that you have by tweeting at Brendan Valdez or at RapidCasting on Twitter. Make sure to tune in on Monday for SSL Premier. That's all for us tonight. Have a good night, guys. We'll see you next time.